I was born in California. I've been here my whole life, born in Fullerton.
My grandmother says we came over in the covered wagon, so I don't know.
I was originally born in Nebraska.
I'm from originally Dublin, Ireland.
Born and raised in Southern California.
Oh, I was born in LA and then grew up in the Bay Area.
Originally, California.
There, that's going to make me look 10 years younger?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, Jay. I knew I liked you.
There's a funny story, actually, that my father told at my wedding in his toast, which was that when I was a little kid and my parents would do something that upset me, and by no means were they abusive, I used to put the telephone number on my door for the Child Abuse Protection Hotline, and I would call on my phone, on the phone, pretend, and I would say child abuse, if they were ever doing anything that I found offensive or not agreeable. And funny enough, my first job after getting my master's in social work, I worked for Department of Children and Family Services as a social worker there.
My grandmother, who was instrumental, she took care of us when we were children, and my mom went to school. My grandmother had polio as an adult, and she talked often about almost dying. And she had heard voices, and they talked about her children and what would her children do if she left. And so she says she came back. She had died and come back, but my grandmother never had a fear of dying. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot from her, from that lesson.
When I was in my 20s, a really good friend of mine overdosed, and that was shocking and devastating because none of us knew he had an issue with illicit drugs. So that was pretty devastating. It kind of brings into your own mortality of like, oh my God, what am I doing, you know? And you take a look at your peers and your life and all that and think, wow, you know, life can end at any time, you know, you don't have to be old.
And as the war ended, my father went to England to work, and we didn't hear from him again. So my grandmother took my sister Letty and me into her home, and our other siblings who were younger went into orphanages. I felt in doing for seniors, and somehow I was taking care of her a little bit, you know. I was doing something that I would have been doing for her if I had been in England, but I couldn't be.
When a woman is having a baby, you're kind of preparing for this transition in life, and you take these classes and you have this birth plan of, you know, I want lighting and music, and I want these people in the room, and I want this and I want that, and you have this picture of how you anticipate it to happen. Sometimes it doesn't always happen that way, but you have this rosy idea of how you want that experience to be, and I think many people in a weird way fantasize the same thing about their death and how they want that to be, whether they want it to be at home and who they want around them, and, you know, do they want comfortable lighting and music and, you know, their dog by their side and surrounded by their, you know, their precious belongings, to make it as comfortable as possible. And so the social worker's role is really to try to ask those questions and figure out how to make that happen.
I still remember my first patient. Some of my first patients that I volunteered with, and I loved that. We baked cookies. And I remember him. He was great. He was a wonderful guy. Loved life, loved people. I went to his memorial service, and oh my gosh, I'd never seen, people were flowing out of the church. Everybody was sharing about his life and all the escapades he did and the parties. He loved to have parties, and all of his friends come over, and I'll never forget him. He was a great guy. And now, at that time I didn't bake, now I love to bake. So, go figure. Go figure.
I think it's the people behind the hospice that make the hospice, and truly that's what I found here. And I chose this hospice for my dad, so that says a lot. It's just a truly wonderful group of people. And caring for my dad the last couple of weeks of his life was truly a gift he gave me. It gave me a whole other perspective on hospice social work. Something that schooling and just the experience didn't really provide me.
We don't even need to talk, they just need a presence, a person they feel is supportive. And it's a hard time, and it can be a special time.
Although it's sad to watch person after person pass away, you get to see probably the most beautiful part of life, which is people being so dedicated to people they love. So.
And I don't think we're often even aware of when we're impacting change or when those opportunities come up. But I think that you're provided that opportunity often. And I love that about it, that every day there's a possibility that today could be the day you make a change, and today you can affect somebody's life positively.
You know what's really special? And this is what it sounds bizarre, but this is what I love about the bereavement and the grief work. You have someone who is so distraught and feeling so empty and like hopeless. And if you just stay with them for a little bit, over the course of some time, they're feeling better and their lives are changing and they're smiling again and they're happy and they have renewed hopes and goals, and you're like, wow, you were so different and this is so amazing and I had a part in this.
Every day's an adventure. You never know what the day's going to bring. I meet wonderful, wonderful families who teach me more probably than I think I provide them at times. I believe hospice is a wonderful service. I get hugs, kisses, hold hands all day long. I can't picture myself doing anything else.
To find a safe place in which they can talk about their experience with this person, some of the good times, some of the bad times, some of the times mom let them down, or some of the good times with dad, and just normalize all of that and make sure that they're still able to cope and that they're still standing at the end of it, you know.